What is the deal, Panther fans? It's your boy, the Professor, a.k.a. Tony Dunn, and this is the C3 Podcast, brought to you by CarolinaCatChronicles.com. Thanks for joining us every Tuesday night at 10 p.m. for the premier Panthers fan podcast, bringing you that talk from the fan perspective. I'm here with my boy, Mel Mayock. You would think he was Jewish because he's always running around the planet. He's a nomad. How's it going, my man?
Doing great, Tony, man. How you doing?
I'm doing well. You know, cold front brings cold cuts here in North Carolina. It's been snowing in Greenville, North Carolina. They called for 0.04 inches of snow today, and we got like 3.
Is there any milk or bread left at any grocery store in Greenville?
You know, probably not. I never understood that. You know, why do you buy things that go bad, that spoil, in a time where your electricity could go out? So you know how we roll in Greenville. We just hit the liquor store up.
Right on, man. Right on. That way you don't care how cold it gets.
There you go. That's right. You're always warm. That's why I got 3 kids.
That's it. Well, hey, man, I got to say I'm happy to be here, man. It's been 2 weeks. Or I missed the last 2 weeks, so it's been 3 weeks since I've been on. Been out earning a living, running around this country. I was in your neck of the woods. Woo! It is cold back there. But out here in sunny Las Vegas, I'm ready to talk some Panther football, man. We got a lot to talk about.
Right on, right on. All right, Joe will be joining us. That freaking Puerto Rican will be popping in a little late. You know, he's got to make his, he's got to be fashionable. You know how he is. So, all right. Well, we're glad everybody's going to can join us this evening. This is C3 Podcast, episode 15.4. Cold front brings cold cuts, right? What we'll be talking about tonight is DeAngelo Williams' release and the controversy that ensued, Byron Bell's departure, rumors of Randall Cobb, and a little combine recap. See who climbed, who fell. As usual, we'll jump in to finish that thought, fact or fiction, and throw those weekly Ice Up Sun picks up. Before we jump into the show, though, be sure, if you're watching, which I know you are, because I can see you, I got eyes everywhere, go ahead and hit the sub up button on YouTube. Just go ahead and subscribe. Why not? Right? Be sure to follow us on Twitter, at @cat_chronicles, like our Facebook page, Carolina Cat Chronicles. Right? If you guys can't listen to the whole show, or you can't be here every Tuesday night joining us for this wonderful time that we have, you can download the show on iTunes or Stitcher. While you're there, why don't you go ahead and give us a good rating? You know, that'll help us get some exposure. You can help us. All you gotta do is go to the website, hit podcasts, and there's a bunch of options there: iTunes, Stitcher, TuneIn Radio. So go ahead and help us out. So let's jump into the lectern. The professor's lectern. I'm going to step up to it.
Nice.
News broke yesterday that Carolina will, in fact, be releasing DeAngelo Williams. The news came straight from the horse's mouth. D-Will. He said he was notified last week that the cut would be coming June 1st. WBTV held an exclusive interview and put out a teaser where D-Will broke the news, and it went a little something like this.
They called me on February 16th at about 2 o'clock. Me and Coach Rivera and Dave Gettleman, we sat down, and he told me, he said, the fact of the matter is we're going to have to release you. And I said, well, why? And he said, well, because we don't run the ball enough. Just like you said back before the season started, we don't run the ball enough to keep you and Bo Stu, so we're going to release you. And I said, okay, fine.
Do you feel better about that?
I don't feel bitter at all. He had the hot hand at the end of the season. He's a great running back, obviously. I don't feel bitter at all. It's a business. And that business comes back and it reminds us year after year, whether it be Steve Smith, whether it be Jordan Groves, whether it be myself. I mean, it's going to happen to every guy in that locker room. When he told me that, it was kind of weird because he was like, well, we're going to have to release you. And I was like, okay. And I walked out of the office and I sat in my truck and I took a deep breath and I made a phone call. And the first words out of my phone call is they're releasing me I'm kind of upset. And they was like, man, don't be upset that they released you. I said, well, I'm not upset that they released me. I'm upset at how I responded to them releasing me because I was cool with it.
So D. Will is released. He decides to break the news in an exclusive interview. He says it's going to be his only interview, and he's cool with it. Are you cool with it, Mel?
You know, on the one hand, I don't want this to turn into another kind of Steve Smith situation where, you know, we love the guy for so long, and then when he's gone, Panther fans are throwing darts at the guy, right? I mean, you know, he rushed 1,432 times for us over 9 years for over 6,800 yards, scoring 46 touchdowns. So the man has been a lot to us over the last 9 years. But you know, I know this probably never happened to you, Professor, but, you know, I had a couple girls break up with me in my younger life, like in middle school. You know, and you ever seen a guy? Yeah, I know that hasn't happened to you, right? But
right,
you know, when that does happen, you ever seen a girl breaks up with you, and you're like, well, I ain't like you anyway. I was getting ready to break up with you. You know, you were.
Her breath stank.
Yeah. You know, that's what this reminds me of. It reeks me of that. I mean, why come out and air dirty laundry? It seems awfully petty. I mean, are we supposed to believe now that the Carolina Panthers is a classless organization? Please. I mean, come on, D. Will. I mean, this guy, I like him on the field. But let's be true, too, since we're talking about breath stinking. I've had a problem with D. Will off the field ever since he's been here. I like him on the field, but he comes to town. I'm a big Hornets fan. Hey, he gets on Twitter and antagonizes Hornets fans because he's a big Memphis guy. He's all about Tennessee. He's never been embracing of Charlotte and Carolina. And now on the way out the door, he wants to be a little bit classless. I find that a little bit disappointing, to say the least.
I find him to be kind of bipolar at times. You know, I feel him to be a emotional roller coaster, and you know, you wonder. I feel like maybe I've just paid more attention to it as time has gone on. Maybe it's something that he has embraced as he's kind of tried to develop a persona. But he's been up and down. You know, I mean, he was always known for being real open with the media, with the fans. And, you know, we offered a lot of, I won't say forgiveness, compassion, not forgiveness, because that's not the right word, but compassion and understanding. That he had a difficult season, and Gettleman reminded us of this over and over, is that he had a tough time. His mother passed, and obviously it's really hit him hard, very, very, tremendously hard. Mm-hmm. But so, like, when I was at training camp, he just walked by without even looking. And, you know, I don't got a problem with that. I really do. You know, I mean, I don't. You know, they're tired. You know, they've been working hard. And, you know, you can't make everybody happy. But I feel like I've seen a lot of stories of him kind of being cool to fans in the last couple of years, you know.
Yeah.
So he's kind of hard for me to get a beat on, you know. I feel like so many people wanted to love him in the last 2 years, and what's strange, you know, where I think this comes from is I think that DeAngelo Williams is a little kind of deep down jaded by Panther fans. And Panther fans have kind of done him wrong, I feel like, throughout his career. Not now in this moment. I don't feel like, you know, I'm really concerned about that. But as soon as Jonathan Stewart comes along, it's DeAngelo Williams washed up. You know, you give DeAngelo Williams the big contract, then we should have given it to Stewart. You know, I mean, I feel like they're so ready to go.
We did that too.
They did. I feel like they're so ready to go away from him and things that maybe he's kind of taken that to heart, and he's tried not to show it.
If you're gonna be a professional, man, you can't. I mean, he's getting paid over $6 million a year. You got to have a little bit thick skin to be, you know, a professional in today's age. You know, about a month ago we had Chris Jenkins on the air, right? And we asked if we thought DW was coming back. And he said something that I thought was pretty revealing that I had not seen before. You remember? He said, I don't think D. Will's ego will let him take a back seat to another running back. So maybe it's D. Will's got a bigger ego than he's ever let on to the media that we're seeing.
I think that I thought about that a lot too. In fact, when I wrote a piece on DeAngelo, how much gas he's got left in the tank, I referenced that.
Yeah.
Because, it does. You start to think about it. Part of being a great player is having an ego. You need to have one.
Sure.
But we're getting to see some of it. Okay, so this is what happens, though. Yesterday, this goes down. I'm just getting off work, and this news starts breaking. And I see the teaser clip, the one I played, which was, hey, I was told by Gettleman that I was going to be released. Then you see him choosing that he's going to be the one that dictates the term of how it's going to be announced. I saw the David Newton guy say this, is that this isn't unexpected. It's not like he's getting sideswiped by this. He's the one that's coming out and controlling the narrative. And they've allowed him to do that. So I put up a piece yesterday, and it kind of celebrated him a little bit as a player in Carolina. And it seemed like, hey, my points in this, and I didn't get into depth, but I'm just saying, look, it seems that Gettleman's handled this better than he handled Jordan Gross and Steve Smith. This seems to be, from that clip that I played you, that's what I had heard. It seemed like he was parting ways on a good footing. I thought, man, I think Gettleman's growing into his role as a GM, and this is the way I wanted to see the Panther, a Panther great go out. And then
what?
Not even 5 hours go by. It felt like 5 minutes, and this is what you get.
Nobody came to the funeral. The owner didn't reach out.
DeAngelo Williams says owner Jerry Richardson did and said nothing until weeks later after the funeral. It came after DeAngelo had written an article for Sports Illustrated on his mother's last days.
So I wrote the article. I come back, and there's a letter from the owner saying, I read this story. It's a really nice love story between a son and his mom. That was it.
He calls it extremely disappointing, but says Jerry Richardson did apologize to him in July, months later during training camp.
I was so upset with Carolina because for the last 5 or 6 years, during October, she was celebrated. But then when she's no longer here, let's move on.
So how does that sit with you, Mel? I felt like this really took I was a little upset with the WBTV.
Yeah.
Over the way they presented the first clip and then the second clip.
Yep.
But then I was like, man, these guys, I think they did a good job with it for ratings. I mean, like, everybody was tuning in at 11 for that mess then. How does this part sit with you, and how does this change it? Just think about where I'm going from at 3 o'clock hearing that first bit, and then now this comes in around 8 o'clock at night.
Yeah, then you well, man, I thought this was going to go smooth. We knew this was coming. Thanks, we'll give you the gold watch. We'll give you a tribute. And then he had to drop this. But in his defense, I've lost a parent. I lost my dad about 5 years ago, and it hurts, man. And you can get your feelings hurt by the way somebody does something, and you don't necessarily see things clearly. So he may have really gotten his feelings hurt, and he may just be talking genuinely from his heart. Now, I don't buy into at all that Jerry Richardson's this callous guy that just writes one little line and says, oh, nice love story with you and your mom, right? I mean, we're not seeing the whole picture. We don't know the whole story. I feel for D-Dub because I've been there. I know the pain. I know it's real. But, he should have gone out with a little bit more class. Learn not to talk, Learn not to say something like Jordan Gross did.
Oh, you're taking it easy on him. I felt like pre-show you were upset about this. I just saw on Twitter, our boy at Sam S Slater 96 Smoke Wagon, probably one of the smartest damn Panther fans I know. Good Lord. He said just wish people could part ways like adults. Abby says this on Twitter. At Carolina Abby says, Tolbert even tweeted today. He said he'd love to have Ginn back. Well, I don't, but but no D. Will mention, and she mentioned something else, but I'm gonna save that tweet because we're gonna get to that one. But let's welcome in our buddy boy, that freaking Puerto Rican, Joe Riollano. How are you?
I'm good. I'm glad to be in the mix this evening. We've got a lot to talk about. I'm sure I've got some catching up to do, but it is a good night to be a Panther fan, I think.
And it's a good night to be an NC State fan. Sorry, guys, I had to drop that in there.
Why did Russell Wilson come back?
No. NC State took it to Carolina in basketball. We got to celebrate that. Yeah,
right,
man.
Well, good for y'all. All right, Joe. What we've been talking about, obviously, is DeAngelo Williams and his parting. We've been talking. You just jumped in after we played 2 clips so far of DeAngelo. He's talking about how. I was saying at 3 o'clock this seemed to be a good parting of the ways. Everything seemed to be amiable. He said he wasn't bitter. He understood the business part of it. He even said he was cool with it. When I go back and listen to it now, I'm like, dang, gosh, that was a little bit even cooler than I wanted him to be. But then about 8, 9 o'clock at night, Joe, it breaks that he's upset with, and he calls him the owner.
Yeah.
Joey, how did this change this storyline for you or did it?
Well, I'll tell you this. I was sitting here tonight, and I got a phone call from our good friend Gene Thomas at Super Heavyweight, big time Bucks fan, and Gene called me and said, "What is going on with DeAngelo Williams?" And I said, "What do you mean?" He said, "The guy is passive aggressive in this interview."
Mm-hmm.
And I thought, wow, what I think the way Dave Gettleman handled this parting of the ways was the right way to do things. Mm-hmm. And now, he said he was okay with it, and now some time has passed, and he's got sour grapes.
You think, though, that him going to the owner now about this, because he said Dave Gettleman's fine with him in his book, Ron Rivera's fine with him in his book. He focused this on the owner, Jerry Richardson, obviously, Big Cat. Do you think, speaking of that and the passive-aggressive, because he has a history of being passive-aggressive, DeAngelo Williams, he says that he doesn't mind splitting carries, but then he comes out and says he's the number 1 back and Chud didn't work him, which he didn't. So, in fairness, Chud did not like DeAngelo. But I think there is something to that thread. Do you think he wanted to be upset about this, and then the Carolina Panthers handled it in maybe as delicately as they could, and now he has to find something to be upset about?
Yeah, I think he did want to be upset about it. I know I would be.
So he ain't cool with it.
No, I don't think so. I mean, he had to say that initially because of the way it was handled. If they would have done the same, if they would have treated him the same way as Steve Smith, he could have came out and been a jerk. You know what I mean? But I think it just got to him. I would be upset. Somebody's going to take away $6 million from me for this year. I'd be angry too.
I got to say this, guys. I said earlier that I'm watching everybody. But I think that Abby is watching me because she must have access to my show notes because she is all over every direction I've been trying to take this conversation with because it's and you'll see, Abby, you watch this, is that as soon as this is what I got written in my notes. So 5 minutes goes by and this story goes from heartfelt to heartbreak. And then you start seeing things like this. Carolina huddle, Jeremy Igo. I mean, not Jeremy. Is it Jeremy? Yeah, I know an Igo here in Greenville, so I always get them confused with their first names. He says this. He's talking about them not attending the funeral, saying anything. He said, and this is just the social media department, and it was them saying they were sorry. And then he got into it. Then DeAngelo Williams responds back and says that was their first post about it, and it was 10 days after I lost my mom. You really want to keep questioning me on this. So this starts to get ugly because people come after Igo on this. People come after DeAngelo Williams. Then you get this next, guys, and I hope you guys can see this well, is it says, this guy, Greg, at Panther1GB89 says, easier to bring it up on the news when you are meeting with them face-to-face. Figured you would be a bigger man than that. And then DeAngelo Williams gets salty and says, I don't hold my tongue for anyone. Check my tweets or talk to the media. So watch your comments. So this is starting to get ugly, and I'm not going to put this one up, but first of all, Abby just brought it up on Twitter about Jerry Richardson's son. Did he go to the funeral? But I saw this on Facebook by a guy, and this is not the first time. I remember this dude. His name is Michael Bolton. He's a black dude named Michael Bolton, and I just love this because what do you automatically think of, Joe, when you say somebody named Michael Bolton, and even just a black dude named Michael Bolton?
I think long blonde hair.
Oh,
Yeah,
you think of that?
It's like that white dude named Michael Jordan, right? I mean, it just doesn't necessarily.
Oh, no, I think of that movie. It was The Office. Remember the dude's name was Michael Bolton in The Office, and he always got pissed as hell about people calling him Michael Bolton, or not calling him Michael Bolton, being like, "You mean like the singer?" He'd be like, "Yeah, like the singer." And so the very first time I interacted with this dude on Facebook, I was like, "You mean like the singer?"
Did he get it?
He didn't say nothing because it was like a billion-ass comment thread. But he says this, and this goes to you, Abby. You're reading my mind and Michael Bolton's. He says it maybe not as calm as you did, but he said this. Did D. Will show up at Jerry Richardson's son's funeral? If he didn't, he needs to shut the you-know-what up with those sour grape-ass comments. Players ruining their reps by going out crying like bitches. Did Gross have some bad things to say? I'm sure he did. Sure, he felt some kind of way, but hey, he didn't air out the dirty laundry. That's how you leave with class. Stop being a biatch. Looking at you, Smitty, LaDrop, D. Will, calling spades. Ooh, so, guys, this goes. Yeah, I felt like this went for me at 3 o'clock. I was happy. I wrote this. I wrote a dang let's celebrate D. Will, because I've always been a fan of him. And then now, did you see this taking this turn?
Well, let me just say on Twitter, our guy Smoke Wagon says, "Can't fathom in a million years a grown man pouting and taking an offhanded jab at a man that made you millions of dollars." Think about that. 9 years, he's walking away with so much money, you can't even fathom it. And as he said, for the last 6 years, his mom has been celebrated at Panther Stadium.
Yes.
And then on the way out the door, "Oh yeah, you just fired me, so let me just tell the whole world that you don't have as much class as everybody thinks you do." Well, you know what, D. Will? You might be on the Ice Up Sun candidate list for tonight.
Mm-hmm.
Do you think, though, that this, because DeAngelo mentions this at the end, is that, when she was alive and you could get her out there banging on the drum, and you look good as an organization, you're there.
That's just pain talking, man. That's just pain talking.
Okay. Do you think, too, that now, does Carolina need to continue to try to keep up this, we're a family, honorable culture at this point going forward still? Because, is this a front by the organization?
I think you are what you are. I think that Jerry Richardson, that was his intention from day one, to make this a family, the organization a family that is attractive to players and people. Not necessarily at all, but I imagine it can be used as a selling point. And he has made it like a family. I mean, you think of Sam Mills, you think of how the reaction was when Fred Lane was, passed. You think about how angry he was with the Ray Caruth situation.
Hey, you just ask our boy Greg Olson, right? I mean,
Yeah,
Jerry
exactly.
Richardson put him on his private jet to fly up and see his son during off days during the week, right?
Exactly.
I mean, come on,
Yeah.
you can't tell me that Richardson is putting on a front. I mean, that's a good man right there.
I don't buy it for 1 minute. I don't buy it for one minute. I think he's sincere.
I agree, and what I want though this goes to the kind of the last point on the DeAngelo Williams story, because there's more, and here is continued from the interview.
And you're not just saying this now because they're releasing you.
I'm not saying this now because they're releasing me. And in fact, I probably wouldn't even brought it up had you not asked me. But it stung to know that a place of business that you've worked for and that you've bled, you played through injuries, you did everything you possibly can for this organization.
And for that $9 million.
And then upon your darkest hour, they let you handle it by yourself.
Now, did any players come to his mom's funeral?
One player came.
To your funeral, to your mom's funeral.
Absolutely.
In Arkansas.
Yes. And there's nothing that he can say or do in my eyes that are bad.
Let me guess.
Go ahead.
Greg Hardy.
Absolutely.
All right, guys, I got a problem with this part of this interview. Because you watch the lady, and she's pulling her best Barbara Walters, like trying to be emotionally compassionate and supportive. And this was total setup. This was so scripted right here, because she goes, "Did anybody come?" And he's like, one player. Let me guess. Go ahead, guess. Greg Hardy. No way. You know what I mean? Like, come on. If you're gonna have a damn guess, it would have been Thomas Davis.
Yeah.
Or Jonathan Stewart.
Or Stewart is what I thought. Yeah.
Yeah, they're damn neighbors. I mean, that's not a guess. You knew exactly where you were going with this, so don't give me that fool.
Why does a guy not how can you be in the league that long, know that many players, go through training camp, be that close to guys, and then nobody show up?
You're not the only one that thinks that. Abby sent me a message that said, anyone find it odd no players other than a generic TD tweet have spoken out.
Mm-hmm.
So go on with that point, though. Is that what do you think that this telling?
Well, I don't want to assume anything. I mean, it means one of two things, really. It means, one, he's not really a likable dude, right? People aren't as close to him as they should be. I mean, if you're in the running back film room training with a guy day in and day out for 9 years or close to it, you're not going to the funeral. So either you don't like the dude, or he was very closed off and made the perception, hey, give me my space, give me my time, I'll get back with y'all when I can. One of the two.
I was surprised Greg Olson didn't go.
That's what I'm saying. I mean, wouldn't Coach Skipper go? His coach?
He's
So
been there
either
almost
But
the
it
whole
was
time,
right.
right?
It was right in the middle of the draft. You know what I mean? So they do have professional obligations. But
well, no, I mean, Gettleman took the draft from his son's dorm room a couple years ago, right? So I mean, they will work around personal stuff.
And they can fly. They've got it to where they can fly for a few hours to one location and fly back.
And these players don't care about the draft. They're not involved in that.
yeah, well, I mean, I was just saying with the coach part, but
Right.
But yeah, it surprises me. No Thomas Davis, no Greg Olson.
But for all we know, he put it out there, don't come, give me my space, y'all just let me be. We don't know the whole story.
Well,
You can't tell me.
do you think if he would have said if that would have been the case, that he would have mentioned that only one person came to the funeral in the interview? You know what I mean? If he would have said, just leave me alone while I mourn, would he have mentioned that in the interview? That only
That's
one
what I'm
person
saying.
showed
I
up.
don't think he's telling the whole story.
Right.
I know he's not telling the whole story. He's
Right.
definitely not telling the whole story.
What
So
about
for the
that
media
part?
to latch on to is wrong.
What about the part about this dude can do no wrong? Like, talk about got your boys back because you came to the, he was like, you rob a bank, you could beat up a chick and throw her on some guns, but I love you. I just felt, but okay, so let's get off of D-Will for right now because, actually, how about this? Last point about this is he going to go anywhere and do anything?
Well, he's such a Tennessee guy, man, and they could use a running back. I could see him going to the Titans.
Mm-hmm.
Does he have any gas left in the tank, Joe?
I think he can come in and give you some good minutes. I don't think he can be your workhorse by any means. I think he can come in and play some third down and maybe, give your split carries. I think he can definitely do that, but in a more of a diminished role than what you saw with him in double trouble.
I mean, he's going to be 32 years old when the season starts. Not too many 32-year-old running backs.
You think he'll be a Patriot?
Ooh, that's a good question. That could happen.
He's already been talking about Super Bowl. He said he wants to win the Super Bowl. He ain't going to win it in Tennessee, I can tell you that.
Right. Nor Oakland.
Yeah. Okay, so another, while maybe a famous Panther was released with DeAngelo Williams, an infamous Panther has been released in Byron Bell, who also revealed this on Instagram, that he wouldn't be returning to Carolina. So the left-hander is left out. Could he have helped our team by being on the roster, guys?
Well, my thought on that is I was kind of hoping we would sign him to a one-year deal in case the rookie that we draft isn't ready to start day one. He could give him some, fill in, do some time, let somebody progress. But I found it strange. Free agency hadn't even started. What does he have to gain by saying he's not coming back to Carolina? I find that weird.
I think they've already made it. Well, obviously they made it clear that they don't want him back.
Yeah. Well, there's no
maybe they've already been negotiating the deal. Can they talk about these things? Can they bat around some light figures, or is that against the rules?
They could talk to agents, but they can't publicly be talking about it at this point.
Because there's like a 3-day period, right, where they get to go and test the waters and some things like that with other teams.
And there's some date out there that says they can start communications, but nothing can be signed or talked about until I think it's the start of the season, which is March 10th.
Right.
You wonder if they just said that we're going to give you the minimum. Take it or leave it.
That's what I would have expected. That's exactly what I would have said to him. We're going to give you the minimum you can make for your years of service.
Clyde says that's overpaying the man.
Very nice.
That's overpaying. So no love lost for Byron Bell leaving Carolina. I think that this is going to have some important ramifications on where we're going forward. What do you guys think? Is that you guys have any last comments on Byron Bell before we move on?
It's gonna be hard to forget the Byron Bell era in Carolina. So many good memories. It's tough. Good luck, Byron.
I wish
couldn't
him
say
good
that with a
luck.
straight face. I'm sorry.
You tried.
I tried. It's time for him to move on too. So.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
It's
All right. Well, let's.
start.
Okay. Well, good. I hope he gets a fresh start on a different side of the offensive line.
In Atlanta.
In Atlanta. That's exactly right.
Nice.
Okay, I got a couple of things before we move on. First, you can tweet the show at #C3. We love to hear y'all's thoughts because generally they're smarter than mine. Second, our friends at roaringriot.com, the ultimate way for Panther fans to go on the road and rep their team. They got trips to Miami, Jacksonville, Memphis this year, all AFC opponents. So they're taking Panther fans on the road. I'm going to get some more details about these in the coming weeks.
Dude, we ought to go.
Yeah,
That's gonna be fun.
we know a buddy of ours, one of Joey's buddies, nice fella named Shane Barbie, right?
Shane Barbie, that's right.
He raves about these trips. I mean, he doesn't have anything but wonderful things to say. I saw this today, though. Check this out. They opened up their first trip. Today was the first day that you could book the Jacksonville trip. And they have a cabana, like they got a cabana by the pool and all this. 50 spots sold today.
They don't know the date yet, do they?
No, there is no date yet.
Wow.
50 people said they were going, and they don't even know the damn day. So y'all go to roaringriot.com, and if you do sign up, be sure to tell them we sent you, just because, I mean, we don't get any, this is just, hey, Panther fans helping Panther fans out of this. So, you know, but I've heard great things, so you guys check that out, roaringriot.com. I think, fellas, it is time for a little finish that thought.
Sometimes I just don't get people. Human beings are so weird. Who talks in front of a camera by themselves for fun? We thought that was a good idea. These ideas, some of these things that you use every day. Who's the guy or a girl that was like,
This makes no sense.
good idea?
That's a good idea.
I love that intro, man. That's the best in the business.
I like it too. This is exasperating.
Makes no sense.
It's a fun just watching those YouTube videos. All right, finish that thought. It's where I pose a thought to my good buddies, and they finish it. Williams' interview on WBTV was. That's it. Joe, finish that thought.
Was pathetic.
Ooh, coming out hard and strong. Give us a couple of comments on why you say pathetic.
Because it is a man who could have left the organization in a really good manner, on good standing, and he sort of burned the bridge. You know, he did do some really good things. He accomplished a lot here in Carolina, and now most people are going to remember his sour grapes as he's and the departure, and that you know, that tarnishes somebody's image. That tarnishes his career that he spent here at Carolina. All that good work that he did was gone in a matter of minutes because he was hurt. He was mad. Yes, I understand that, but be professional.
When Joey finishes that thought, he said it went a little something like this.
Nick Saban is a better man than you are. You could never.
Nick Saban's a better man than you are, and that's saying a lot. I'm going to turn it over to our boy Mel Mayock. The Williams interview on WBTV was
A very sad ending to an outstanding Panther career. Hopefully we can remember the 4.8 yards per carry and the 46 touchdowns and not this little childish breakup here at the end.
I'm going to say this, is that for me, the only thing I was fixated on was that Goonies t-shirt. And I was just like, and those huge nostrils, man. Have you noticed that D. Williams' nostrils are like the size of this beer can's bottom? I mean, they are enormous. But this is what I got to say is Williams' interview on WBTV reminded me that Goonies.
Don't say that. Never say that. Goonies never say die. I'm not a Goonie. I want to go home.
That was DeAngelo Williams at the end.
That's right. I'm not a Goonie. I'm not a Goonie. I want
to go home. That's right.
All right. Greg Hardy, last finish that thought. Greg Hardy, the only Panther to attend D. Williams' mother, Sandra Hill's funeral, was, Joe, you go ahead.
was the right thing to do.
All right, Mel, jump in there.
I think it's proof that you got to be in the building and a part of the team to get the memo not to go, for whatever the reason was. Greg Hardy was the only guy not in the building.
He didn't see the whiteboard, right?
He didn't get the memo. Stay away.
I found this to be a great Greg Hardy, the only Panther to attend DeAngelo Williams' mother, Sandra Hill's funeral, was an important help for his character, like a character testimony.
Mm-hmm.
Step 4, he didn't have to go to trial.
Surprised that didn't slip out before the trial.
I know. Is that they were saving that. DeAngelo Williams was straight going to be a witness.
Mm-hmm.
Guaranteed in that dang thing.
Yep.
So, all right, let's move on. Before we jump in, Joey, I heard that every now and then people of this day and age like to shop on the intranet. Tell me about this, Joey.
If you are a fan of shopping on the interweb, I suggest you come to CarolinaCatChronicles.com to do your Amazon shopping. We have a link on our tabs that will take you to Amazon and allow you to do all the same shopping. You have the same access. You're just coming through our site, and all that does is help us, a small business, grow. And Amazon shows a little bit of appreciation for you going to their site through ours, and gives us a little something based on what you buy. So go there, buy your house, buy your car. Make sure you get all the big ticket items through Amazon.com. And you'll be helping Carolina Cat Chronicles grow so we can spread the word about the Carolina Panthers and make more passionate Carolina Panther fans.
Mel, how easy is it?
Dude, I don't know if you could see. You see that hat hanging up on the wall back there?
I see it.
Yep. And you know, being a partner of mine, right? You know I'm probably one of the least tech-savvy guys there are. I'm like...
That's why I asked you this.
Yeah. I'm like Tony, what's a URL, man? You know, what's this internet thing? So I bought a 2014 NFC South Champions hat. Easy as pie, man. And I bought, I don't know if you guys got them yet. I sent you each chocolate dipped Oreos.
I did. They didn't last 5 seconds in my house.
Exactly.
I got those off of Amazon, man. So if I can do it, anybody out there can do it.
That's
Easy.
great to hear. Also, if you need tickets, too, to any kind of event, you can go to our website and you can click the scheduled tab. You want to go see the Hornets? You want to see the Hornets? You want to see the Cardinals? You want to go see I was going to say something very inappropriate there.
Well, thankfully you didn't.
I'm glad I stopped myself because that would have been crossing the line when it comes to events that people attend.
Oh, come on, man. What is it? Go ahead.
No, I can't say it. I can't trample on the grave. Cheap tickets, no fees, all created by fans. Go to our website, click the schedule tab, buy tickets. You can go to Ticket Monster. Same deal. They just help us. They just like to know that we send people to them. I want to... Speaking of, I want to jump in before not last segment of the show, but next segment of the show. I want to talk about the NFL Combine. It was this weekend, and a lot of times you hear this referred to as the Underwear Olympics.
Well, you kind of get your panties in a wad, and you may say things that you regret later.
The Underwear Olympics right there. Did you guys watch it? Joey, did you watch the Underwear Olympics?
I did watch bits and pieces of it. I am married, and my wife's not a big fan of the NFL Combine.
So, big strapping men in underwear?
No, not at all. So I didn't get to watch as much as I would have liked, but I did see some. Of course, I stayed current with it via Twitter and other media outlets, but I didn't actually watch it as much as I would have liked.
Mel was watching or listening.
Oh, man.
Watching and listening on Twitter from 30,000 feet.
I was flying home from Charlotte to Vegas, watching and listening to it as I made my way across the country, and I had it recorded. Man, I'm a geek when it comes to the combine, man. I was watching every second of it.
What group were you most excited to see, Mel?
Oh man, they were all fun, but I love watching 330-pound men running the 40. There's just something about that gets to me. I laugh every time.
You laugh to think that they could outrun you?
Oh man, it's freaky, man. You got these guys weighing 330 pounds running 5-second flat 40s, and yeah, they would be outrunning me. So that's crazy.
They had a few run sub 5 seconds.
Yeah. Crazy to think.
Insane. I would say this is I got to watch on Saturday and Sunday, and part of Monday.
And by the way, I hate to interrupt you, but I got to send out apologies because I'm getting hate tweets about not sending Oreos out to some of our most loyal followers. My apologies to Abby. Sorry. Next time.
Abby.
Well, you kind of get your panties in a wad, and you may say things that you regret later.
Jeez. I didn't like Sunday, and I don't know why. I wasn't interested in a defensive line. I didn't get to watch the offensive lineman on Friday. I didn't find Sunday, the defensive lineman day and the linebacker day, all that interesting. I liked, my favorite day was Monday, the defensive backs. I thought that was fun to watch.
Those guys can fly.
They were a fast group. Joey, you sent me a message earlier that this is a fast group of DBs.
It really was. They were not only fast, but in the measurables, in the explosive measurables, they all seemed to excel too, like the broad jump, vertical. I mean, those are some serious athletes on that side of the ball, man. Much more so than I can ever remember. Not that I'm a huge combine geek, but it seemed these guys as a whole were quick and just explosive.
And a lot of them are tall t't. I mean, a lot of them are 6 foot, 6'1", running a 4.3 40. This is a good group. Yeah.
Who stood out for you guys? Mel, you're Mel Mayock. By the way, you can go to CarolinaCatChronicles.com and check out Mel's top 64. Newly revised, updated after the combine. He's done a wonderful job. A lot of good, deep kind of things that you wouldn't know about these guys when you get into them. Mel, whose stock rose for you? Who stood out in this combine to you?
Well, there were quite a few, but probably the biggest riser was Vic Beasley, even though he was already way up there. I mean, the guy ran the fastest 40 for defensive lineman and had the biggest bench press. He's a workout warrior. But, I'm hesitant of the guy that's a super workout warrior because we've seen a few of them. Just because you're a workout warrior doesn't mean you're a warrior on Sundays.
Right.
I think the tweet of the week was from linebacker Paul Dawson out of Texas Christian, who is the most instinctive linebacker in the draft, but he ran a 4.9 40. So everybody was like, ooh. He tweeted, he said, hey, I'm not a track athlete. I'm a football player. I'll see you on Sundays.
Mm-hmm.
See you on the field. So I mean that's an important point. But Vic Beasley did good. Trey Waynes, the DB that ran the fastest there, man, he was lighting it up. He was good. Good to watch. And to me personally, the person that raised the most in my mind was Lael Collins. The guy looked a lot more athletic than he showed on tape. So he moved up on my board.
And speaking of the Collins, anybody with a Collins name did well. Who was the dude that wore that was the Mortal Kombat guy that wore the mask on Monday? Trey.
He was a nobody, and then he put the mask on, and he became somebody.
He ran a very fast 40 though. Was it Trey Collins? Trey something. DB guy trying out for
Mortal Kombat.
Do you remember his name, Mel?
It's escaping me now.
Okay. Some other guys I thought, to me, that stood out. Let's talk about the receivers for a moment, because I didn't watch the offensive linemen tremendously, so I just don't know that
We'll
much.
talk about the man with the golden gloves.
We are going to talk about him, but before we get to him, let's talk about the beast of a man, the guy that I think might just by looking at him, and maybe I got a little softy in me because I look at these big dudes, I'm impressed when I see the guys that just look physically imposing. Kevin White.
Whew.
He doesn't look human.
Check him out on my big board, man. You won't believe where I'm
up.
Yeah, he did.
I saw. He moved up. That dude looks like he could be the Predator, man.
He looks like an NFL receiver to me. He looks like it. You know, if you want to talk about
an NFL receiver among boys.
Yeah, he is a man. What, he run a 4.35?
I think that's right.
That guy, Joey, I'm gonna go ahead and tell you that dude's gonna be better than Sammy Watkins in the NFL.
I think Sammy Watkins could be better if he was on a better team.
Okay. Well, he doesn't look like that. He doesn't look like that. I can tell you that. Another guy though that fell, that looked that I like, that I think might fall to Carolina, Sammy Coates. And I know that people have been critical of his drops. I know that he's kind of stiff as an athlete. But that dude is cock diesel, dude.
He got those nice long fluid strides, man.
But these muscles up in here, he's got like these dang bowling balls right here. I mean, that guy he's strong. That's what I like about him. And
he's country strong.
Yeah. So I think here, this is what I don't like about the combine, and I know, or not about the combine, but some of the people that are really in tune with all of this stuff, like you are, Mel, and that, is that like Panthers Truth wrote on our website today about something, and I don't want to be critical of his comment. I mean, I'm not trying to, don't take it the wrong way.
That's another smart dude right there.
Yeah, he knows a ton. But he's talking about our boy from K-State. What's his name, Joey? I forget his name. Lockett.
Tyler Lockett.
And he's like, you forget he's got small hands, and he can give you the exact millimeter of how big this dude's hands are. And I'm going, well, I don't give a shit. I don't care if he's got a little you-know-what. Is that the dude...
We'll deflate those balls. We'll deflate the balls. Don't worry about
it. We'll make it all match. Yeah. It'll all be proportional. The point is that if you can play, you can play. So I don't like to get overly consumed. I think these are another factor. I think it's like metrics in basketball or analytics in basketball. Like, yes, they're important, but they are not the only factor. So I think you can just give the good old eyeball test and look at some of these dudes. And I think the idea, not everybody can be a first-round pick.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's where the combine gets us so hypercritical about guys, is that, like, all right, well, their stats tell us they're not a number 1 pick or a top 30 pick, but maybe they're the 132nd pick. Maybe they're a guy that can improve, that has some skill set, that, with more time. So what I looked at, and this is where I want to get to our buddy Justin Hardy, the man with the golden gloves. Sometimes I'm not looking for guys to blow you away and rise up the charts, but just not to fall. And, Justin Hardy, he ran that gauntlet drill real well. We knew he was going to do that. He made a big catch on a bad throw from our boy Shane Carden, and he also ran a 4.56. Nothing explosive or burner, but I feel like that number's fast enough. Mel, does he do enough to protect him getting drafted?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, if he'd have come out and ran like a 4.8, then the red flags would have gone up and said, "Whoa, he can't get any separation." But I mean, you didn't watch the tape of ECU and see a burner out there. That's not how he got it. He got open because he was right. He's smart. He can what I loved about his route running is he could change his speeds up. He could go fast and then stop. The DB would slow down, then he'd run past him. He's a smart receiver. So yeah, he did well enough. A 4.56 is not slow. So
that's Cam Newton speed.
Yeah, he's doing well.
Speed. That's plenty fast.
It's 6'1", 190. That's pretty good.
Nah, he's 5'10". He's 5'10".
Well, then that sucks. Well, it's not as good then. But if he was 6'1", that would have been a good showing.
That would have been awesome. But here, he's got 10-inch hands, though.
There you go.
He's got 10-inch hands.
He's got great hands, man. Him and Rashad Green had the two best hands in the draft.
Yes.
You don't need to deflate his balls to make it proportional.
The quote of the night from the professor.
What I think too about Justin Hardy is that he runs good route. He attacks the ball real well. But here, this is what I was gonna say. He did the 3-cone drill and the 20-yard shuttle, or the 20 whatever that shuttle drill is. He did those very well. He outperformed guys like Jamison Crowder. He had the 15th best 3-cone drill since 2006 for a receiver. And so what this tells me is that he's not going to get behind the safeties, but he's got enough speed in short spaces to get open. He might not have a ton of yards after the catch, but I feel like he's going to be able to work the middle of the field and through some savvy route running, be a nice possession receiver. And a guy that you can go to at 3rd and 7, and he can can come up with it.
What round do you think he'll go in?
I think he's a 4th rounder.
Yeah.
Maybe 5th.
Yeah, that's it.
I don't think he's going to climb up the draft board, but I don't got a problem with that. And I think that people they misconstrue me pulling for guys as in I want them to go early. No, I just want them to do well, and I think he's going to do well in the NFL. All right. How about this? Whose stock fell in this NFL Combine? I'm going to say Jamison Crowder's stock fell. Ran slower for his size. He's only 5'8". Ran a 4.56. He didn't look, particular. I mean, he just looked okay. Anybody else's stock fall in this?
Well, I think I already mentioned before that Paul Dawson guy. I think his stock really took a hit. I mean, it's going to be hard to draft somebody in the first round if they run a 4.940. At any position other than lineman. I think that's pretty tough. Well, Bendark McKinney out of Mississippi State. I think he's taking a little bit of a hit. So there were a few.
What do you think about the Doral Beckham Green?
He needed.
I don't think his stock climbed.
No, he ran a 4.49. I mean, the word around the league was he was like a 4.35 guy. So 4.49. It's not overly exciting to me to take the risk all that baggage that comes with him.
Yeah, you don't know. I think he's going to be a little unrefined. I don't think he's good. I don't think he's bad. I don't think he's necessarily going to have a bad career. I think he could probably get past his the issues he had when he was younger.
I think he'll either have a great career or a Josh Gordon type career where he's flashing.
Stephen Hill? What about Stephen Hill?
That's possible. That's possible, man. Depends on how hard the guy wants to work. So.
Okay. Another guy to me that's interesting that comes out of this combine that I like a lot is Marcus Peters, the defensive back from Washington.
Talk about character issues.
I know. He's kicked off the team for what they say choking a coach.
Anger management classes right there.
That's it.
All right. He's 6 foot tall. He weighs like 190 something pounds maybe.
He could play.
Yeah, he does all the things. He looks smooth as silk out there.
Probably the best athlete. Yeah.
His hips real smooth, and when they do that drill where they switching back and forth. That's my favorite drill because some dudes are stumbling and junking, and then other dudes just make this look easy. You're like, man, if you can do that backwards, imagine what that dude could do running forwards. And he made all of that look great. My question is this, is if Carolina, if he falls, what round does he fall to where you would be comfortable taking him?
Oh, I would take him in the second round. Easy. I'd take him in the second round. He will be in consideration at pick 25, I guarantee it. He's too good. But
with the off the field issues?
Yeah, because, I mean, yeah, there's words out that he's really a good kid, and that was, some things that he can get past. But you got to vet it out. We'll see. But you know who I think made money? And since I think it's a kind of a fait accompli that he's going to Tampa, which is a rival of ours, I can call him Captain Crab Legs. I think Jameis Winston made some money this weekend. I think he's going number one.
I had never been a Jameis Winston fan, not necessarily a Jameis Winston hater, but I got to say that I loved him in this combine. I loved his interacting with the media. I loved the way he looked out there. The stage didn't look too big. It didn't look too small. Boy, did you hear him in that interview?
Dude, I'm telling you, when he said this is the last time you're going to hear me compared to Marcus Mariota, next year when I'm in the I expect to be in the Super Bowl and being compared to Peyton Manning. That's a little over the top for Captain Crab Legs. Come on, man.
Yeah, but this is the line that I liked, is that he was saying they were talking about a slow linebacker. It was with that old Lions coach, Mariucci.
Yeah. Now, he's a smart dude. Now, Jameis is a smart dude. There's no doubt about it.
I didn't realize this. I mean, people have told me, I just never gotten to see it. And they said, well, you're not going to have a fat linebacker, a slow linebacker in the NFL. He said, well, maybe I'll have Jerry Rice. He said, you ain't going to have Jerry Rice. He said, well, maybe I'll have Vincent Jackson.
I didn't hear that. Nice.
What's the other dude? It was either Vincent Jackson.
Mike Evans.
Mike Evans. It was one of those two guys, and it was just, he just said it, man. You just want to hang out with the dude. Like, he was just cool. One point though I want to ask, and it was, I just lost it, about Peters. Oh, Peters. You draft him to the Carolina Panthers, and you put him on the other side of Josh Norman. Is there a saltier secondary on the planet?
That's a great point. That's a great point, man.
Those dudes would have a lot of...
Hey, look at the jersey I'm sporting tonight, man.
I see, man. You're rocking it, too.
Well, hey, and guess where I bought it? Amazon through Carolina Cat Chronicles.
Nice.
I love this. This. I can't wait to, man. And I got some damn Oreos. Why don't you send them Oreos to Susan and get me a damn K1 short jersey or Benet? Sorry.
You give me more time on the podcast. We'll talk.
I'm begging. Sorry. All right. Okay. I can't let anybody go unless we do this. Backdoor Fiction! It's time for Backdoor Fiction.
Joey cracks up every time, man. I'm sorry.
So does Susan. Get your billions back, Susan. Also known as Backdoor Fiction. Joey, crazy. Fact or fiction, Byron Bell's release means Carolina will draft an offensive tackle in round 1.
I think that's fiction. I think if the right guy is there that plays tackle, they will draft him, but I don't think it's a guarantee.
All right, Mel, fact or fiction, Byron Bell's release means an offensive tackle in round 1.
Well, Joey's thought there was very astute, very well thought out, very articulate, but wrong. I'm going to say it's a fact, man. There's too many good left tackles in this draft, or tackle prospects in this draft, and as Smoke Wagon pointed out just recently on Twitter, Jake Fisher's another guy that just really shot up the draft board or shot his value up at the combine. We're going to take Lael Collins or DJ Humphreys or even Jake Fisher or Eric Flowers or Andrus Peat. There's a lot of guys there, so I don't see us passing on them.
Joey, he said this.
This makes no sense. This makes no sense.
Makes no sense. All right, fact or fiction. DeAngelo Williams' release put the high priority on the drafting of a running back, Joey. Fact or fiction?
I think that's fiction. I think that we're okay at running back with who we have. We may look to add one, but it doesn't have to be through the draft. It could be through free agency.
You think like Ryan Matthews?
I have heard that name mentioned, but that's not necessarily an answer. He's hurt so much. I don't know that we'd want to bring him in, but what about
C.J. Spiller?
I like that
also
name.
Hurt.
I like that. I like him for what he can do, with the ball in open field. And I have even heard, what's his name from the Saints? Ingram.
Wow.
Mark Ingram.
Yeah.
There you go.
Is that a good compliment, though, to Jonathan Stewart? I feel like they do a lot of the same things.
Really, it would be three guys doing the same thing.
Yeah, I think Fozzie's a good.
I don't think Tolbert's on this team next year, unless he takes the minimum. Mel, DeAngelo Williams' release puts a high priority on drafting a running back. Fact or fiction?
I'm going to say that's a fact. And I understand, correct me if I'm wrong, I think there's been a petition started for the Panthers to take backyard baller Todd Gurley with the 25th pick. And so far, you got one signature on it.
Mine.
Tony's.
By the way, just to let you know, Panthers Nation, I've signed that petition 92,000 times. Actually, no, not 92,000, just 25 times. 25 times I signed it, and people, I know Smoke Wagon, I know these dudes are so sick of me saying Todd Gurley's name, but
you're a girly man.
I am a girly man. You're right. I like watching the combine and dudes in underwear. All right. Fact or fiction? Last one, Joey. John Fox will look even older than he did at the combine if Jay Cutler gets hurt and he has to start Jimmy Clausen. Fact or fiction?
I think that is fiction because he is going to look older regardless of who is playing quarterback. At the end of this year, it's going to be a long season for Mr. Fox.
Joe! We just ran our guys out there. Two bears.
That has to be the worst John Fox impression
ever.
Sorry.
This is what I gotta say about
funny,
John
funny,
Fox.
but
President Lincoln, George Washington, Martin Sheen. Martin Sheen, that's President Kennedy, you idiot! Well, same difference. I mean, he played Kennedy once. Oh, that's really smart. I'm glad to know you're using your brain.
Another clip from the Goonies.
Yeah. Man of the million clips tonight. I love it.
All right, Mel. John Fox will look older if he has to start Jimmy Clausen.
That's a straight up fact, man. Don't you think it's ironic that he could have Jimmy Clausen starting for him again?
Is he going to be on the team? I think is he a free agent?
I don't know, but it makes too much fun to just think about that situation.
What do you think about what was Jimmy Clausen's face like when he got word that John Fox is going to be this good? He's like, shit. Dude,
this makes no sense. No sense. It's exasperating.
It's exasperating. I have one. There you go. This one. I got one. It's slow on the roll. I lost.
That's the stupidest thing I ever heard.
Yeah, you've been waiting for months to play that one. Nice.
I know, that's one of our favorites. I love that little kid. All right, guys, it is time to wrap the show up. We've gone 11:11. It's the time I was born, bro. It was my birthday.
You got this thing with 11.
I know. I was born at 11:11 on 11:11. It's my lucky thing. So here it goes. It's time for a little Ice Up Sun picks. Ice Up picks of the week, where we tell somebody, anybody, everybody, to ice up, son. Joey, did you bring a pick for us?
I'm gonna have to go second or third here.
All right, Mel, you got a pick for us, right?
I do. Do you have a picture for me? There you go. All right. So, at the NFL Combine, Adidas was going to give away 3 of these bad boys right here to the 3 fastest people at the Combine. Now think about this, guys, being 21, 22 years old, getting a Porsche with a cheetah painted on it, given to you.
That is sick.
That is just a dream come true for any young man right there. I mean, look at that. That's pretty hot, right? So 3 guys, the 3 fastest, and I'm sorry I don't have all their names. I know that Trey Waynes was one of the 3. I'm sure Smoke Wagon could tell us the other 2. But 3 guys.
One was your boy Philip Dorsett.
Yes, it was.
Philip Dorsett was one of them. That's right, for sure. So 3 guys were in line to get this, but then the NFL said, oh, hey, no, Adidas, you can't do that. We already got a contract with General Motors. Can't give the guys a Porsche. So now, granted, it doesn't suck that they did get $100,000 each instead. But, man, check out that Porsche. That is one bad Porsche. I would much rather have
bought the car.
But, I mean, the thought of the NFL saying...
You're 10 grand short, Joe.
There you go. You still
Finance it, baby. Finance it.
Finance it.
So, NFL and your buzzkill self, ice up, son. Quit being the no-fun league. Let these guys have some fun. Come on. Ice up.
It's not like General Motors, by the way, is going to take away their contract.
No.
You know, they'll be like, oh, we're going to go against the NFL because of that. Man. You know, you know what? I thought the reason that they didn't let him give it because I thought they were going to ask him to put a Panther on the side of it.
Hey, there you go. Nice. I like that.
All right. Joey, you want me to go first?
Go ahead. I've got it now, but go ahead.
I'm ready.
Okay.
I got my shirt on.
Nice.
I'm from the country, right? I'm from Winterville, North Carolina.
Wonderful.
But my mama is from Queens, right? And so people tell me that I don't speak with an accent, which I do. I say y'all and all this. Look, I don't see snow very, very often. Not at all. Today, it started to snow in eastern North Carolina. We were predicted to have 0.04 inches of 0.4 inches of snow, 0.4 inches of snow, and it turned out to be like 3 inches. But like everything in eastern North Carolina, they cancel everything with one snowflake. Actually, they started canceling shit around here, guys, before yesterday, when they heard that snowflakes may fall. So they let us out of work. You know, we get off work early today, and I'm going home, and my son goes to a private school, so he's not out yet. And I was gonna make a stop. I gotta drive 7 miles to pick up my son. 7 miles, guys. Left at noon. I got there at 12:50. There was at least 2 wrecks per mile. And I'm talking like some serious ass wrecks, dude. I'm not talking about like, oh, screw, I bumped into you a little bit. Damn, I hit you in the rear end, and yeah, I thought you were gonna go through that yellow light. No, I'm talking mugs. One dude was off on the damn ditch, dude, behind a guardrail. He didn't hit the guardrail, but how do you get behind the guardrail and not even hit it?
It went airborne.
Just sitting out there. So this is what I gotta tell you, all y'all jackasses, that a quarter inch of snow falls and you are crashing into every damn thing, ruining everybody's lives. I was gonna stop and have a beer on my way home with some of my buddies. I said, hell no. I can't have one beer around these jokers.
These people can't drive.
One damn snowflake hit the damn windshield, and boom, go! They were like, "Oh shit!" I saw. What was that white shit? What
So
was
you need to
that?
tell these guys. You got to tell these guys to de-ice up. Right?
That's exactly right.
This goes to y'all, Eastern North Carolina people that crashed today. Defrost up.
Defrost.
I love it. Love it.
Joey, you're up.
My pick this week, I'm crossing sports lines here, and I'm going to the New York Yankees. A-Rod.
Mr. Minotaur.
Yes, Mr. Minotaur. That was a terrible idea to go with that look. Just an awful idea.
Oh, whatever. I'm totally doing that shit.
A-Rod, you took steroids. You denied it. You were found to be in bed with the biogenesis people, and you sat out a year. You're 40 or 41, and you report early to spring training. You have written a letter of apology to the New York Yankees. I don't understand why you don't realize nobody wants you. They don't want you on the team. They don't want you in the league. If they could, they would cut ties with you, but they have to pay you all that money because it's guaranteed in baseball. So I say to you, you have to be here. You're going to be here. Come in and give it your all. Get back into shape like you did when you were taking steroids, but don't take steroids.
Or just don't get caught.
Or don't get caught, for sure. And let's bring a world championship to the New York Yankees. If you do that this year, I promise all will be forgiven and everybody will welcome you with open arms. If you don't,
which you haven't.
Call it a season and ice up. Call it a career and ice up, Mr. Alex Rodriguez. It's win it all or not retire.
Speaking of Mr. Minotaur, man, if I ever strike it rich, you guys ever seen Harold and Kumar go to White Castle?
Yes.
Yes.
Speaking of cheetahs, when they ride a cheetah
Yes.
to White Castle, well, if I ever hit it rich, you can guarantee in my foyer there's going to be a mural of Tony riding a panther.
Oh, nice.
To Mofo White Castle. That is
So everybody out there listening, please go tonight, buy something off of the Amazon link at CarolinaCatChronicles.com so Tony can get rich and have that mural in his pantry.
Yes. He said in his pantry. No, that's just going in the very front of the house.
That's going in the foyer.
Well, your pantry's going to be so big.
In the foyer. This is the C3 podcast. You can catch us every Tuesday night, joking around, having fun, but always talking that Carolina Panthers football. Joe, tell them where they can find you, and if you got anything on the horizon that we should be expecting.
I can be found on Twitter at Joe Riollano, and I am here to announce that my hours of availability have expanded. I am now available on Twitter 9 a.m. to 11 p.m.
Holy moly, that is like a 1,300% increase.
That is at least that much of an increase.
Wow. Big news.
Mel Mayock, how can they find you and what are you working on?
Right. You get me at Panthers Drafter. I'm on Twitter more than I should be, I'll have to admit. But, hey, I'll answer any tweet, anything you want to talk about, I'm there, man. Hey, if you want to argue a little bit, I could do that too. But I'm also the Panthers analyst over at DraftTech.com. New mock draft comes out every Wednesday. Check it out tomorrow. I think people are going to love it. Round 2, pretty amazing that the guy was still there. Glad to have it. So you can check that out, but please do go to catchronicles.com. I've put in a lot of work over this past weekend updating Mel's top 64 post-combine. If you want to see what somebody ran or bench press at the combine, you want to see who my top 64 are, there's a comment on every player, how they might or might not fit in with the Panthers, and how they did at the combine. So go check it out. It's up at the top at the tab. You got 8 at a time. Check it out. I hope you enjoy it.
This is the Professor. You can follow me on Twitter at @cat_chronicles, and I'm stepping back from the lectern. I'll see you next week here on Tuesday night, guys. Thanks for joining us. Always keep pounding. Later, dudes.
Later. Peace out.